What's goody, everyone? How are we feeling tonight? We'll definitely get started here shortly. Just waiting for everyone to hop on, and we'll definitely get started from there. Uh, while we get started, I'll let you guys, of course, come up with some questions on what you guys want us to look at. Give me 1 second. There we go. So before I get started, definitely if you have any questions, definitely let us know inside the chat box. I myself, Anthony, will definitely be going over some crypto analysis, and of course, Gio Munoz will definitely go on the rest of the foreign exchange market. So definitely have your questions ready. We're definitely be dabbling on both markets, and it is the brand new week. What's good, everybody? I do see Teresa inside the chat box. What's good, Teresa? Now just waiting for the rest of the squad to hop on. Give me 1 second, guys. How are we feeling tonight? Happy Father's Day for to all the fathers inside the chat box. Hope you guys had a blessed 3-day weekend. I know I did myself. Definitely took a little trip to Austin, so definitely was a fun time in Austin. So hope you guys had a great weekend. Cool. I'll definitely will get things started. I definitely want to start on time because I definitely do. Let me see. Return the background of things. What's good, Juju? How are you doing, man? Long time no see. Who else we got inside the chat? All right, give me 1 second. Go ahead and take this out the way. Mute. Where's my trading view at? All right. Yeah. So if at any point, inside the chat box, if I do sound a little hectic, you can't really see me or see my screen, definitely feel free to let me see here real quick. Share screen. There we go. All right, cool. So I definitely will kick things off on today's Sunday night session. So I'll definitely start with cryptocurrencies right now. So I've been monitoring Bitcoin for the past several weeks, and I know we just been going sideways here around like the 60s, 60K range, and I know that we are starting a brand new weekly candle. All right. So definitely expect some volatility coming to the brand new week. And if I definitely will leave Geo to do the Forex Factory on the red folders. If we have anything, I'm pretty sure we will. I mean, like even right now, like even while the World Cup games have been going on, there's been heavy news between like Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, that entire boat, what's what I'm looking for? That basically that entire waterway path for all the boats, I seen like it was closed towards Iran and different countries. So there's definitely been a lot of news on both ends while the World Cup is definitely playing. If you guys notice how a lot of the attention it is on the World Cup, and all of these major news are definitely being released while everybody else is focused on the World Cup. Right, so all the attention is away from the news, away from the markets, and mainly just been onto the World Cup, which I've been looking at like all the volume that's being pushed into like the sports bets in the World Cup. It's been in the billions, right? I've been looking at like Kashi, been looking at Polymarket on all the different like volume that's getting pushed into it. Yeah, there's definitely quite a bit of money flowing into the um, betting of the World Cup. So as of now, like there's a total of I'm kind of just looking at the Kalshi price picks, right? Kalshi picks for the World Cup winners. I'm seeing like the total volume, about $500 million in volume, as I'm kind of looking at live at the moment. So it's still a lot of money, right? But as far as what's happening with BTC, definitely want to get back on track. Hello, Gio. Everybody inside the chat box, welcome Gio Munoz inside the chat box.
What is good, Mr.
The
Tony? How
goat.
you doing today?
Hi, Gio.
Hi, happy Father's Day.
I am
If
not a
God, if
father,
God, if
sir.
God didn't know, Tony is a dad. His name, his son's name is Junior Munoz.
Facts.
So, yeah. But what's up, bro? How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Just glad you're on. You'll definitely be going over the foreign exchange part. So I definitely leave that topic for yourself. What's up,
Absolutely, bro.
Carlos? But um, where were we? So with BTC, we definitely been going sideways. We still build up a lot of liquidity on the lower end, and depending on the news that does come around, I definitely want to see some kind of I definitely want to see all of this get cleared out in the future. Would it be this week or towards the end of this month? But I definitely want to see all of this get taken out and definitely push lower, back down to 57K and see what we would do. See what we do from there. I do still see this here area to get filled in before we go lower on BTC. Um, as of BTC standing, like how much impact it has with the rest of the altcoin markets, definitely expect some more pullbacks on alts. Yes, I know it's been months of just bleeding in the markets, but since we're playing at these crucial levels with BTC, I've been noticing how a lot of alts are actually taking a much more bigger dip. Um, than before, right? Even though you guys have been seeing it, all it's just been bleeding for months, but just definitely be aware of what's happening with the rest of the market. I know everything's still at a discount, even at Ethereum levels at 1700. These are just still heavily discounted, and it's been at these levels for a while. All it really takes is the right momentum, the right excuse for the market to just send it higher. You guys have seen some small volume get pushed into these markets before. It's nothing different. We definitely will see some of the majors still go sideways while alts start performing in the near future. So that's why it is very, very important to stack up on your majors, specifically Ethereum. I see you guys inside the chat. So when it comes to Ethereum, I am very, very bullish. I'm definitely working on making this like my top number one holding for Ethereum. Then you have your rest, your alts like Chainlink, AVAX, a few sprinkle here and there. Just kind of be more on a conservative basis, right? This um before I even call out some more stuff out. This is not financial advice. Definitely want to put that out there. Trading does involve risk. So now that I put that out of the way, so this is all purely educational purposes. So when it comes to the rest of the market, I know Solana's been definitely been taking a beating on the higher time frames. So who was a part of Powerhouse when we have seen this gigantic push up in Solana when it was like around like $20 or below? I'm kind of curious who has been around since 2023 inside of Powerhouse, and we've called this out, inside the community channels because back when around like these times, Solana was the only one performing. A few other coins was performing as well. I think BNB was performing. So it's pretty interesting to see how we finally, not everything has to go in the direction you want it to altogether, if that makes sense. So I see Teresa inside the chats. Oh yeah, I know you've been inside of Paros for a while. So definitely it's definitely been a crazy roller coaster as far as just the majors, and not so much with the alts. I know some of them had some good movements here and there, but nothing really too clear. I know everything was kind of just leading up towards the presidential election, and everything kind of from there just kind of just tanked. So right even right now, like it's still a strong market overall. You guys seen the adoption, you guys seen the we haven't really seen the overall global onboarding just yet. Once you start seeing like really easy onboarding, really easy for people to, buy cryptocurrencies, that's kind of really where you start seeing all these alts, all these different coins start popping off. And even from like past cycles, we definitely would need, Ethereum to really start showing some volume into the market, just so that the rest of alts can start running as well. So like I know some of you guys have heard how, we don't really need Bitcoin to perform for the rest of the market to perform as well, right? It basically already made a gigantic push up all the way up to the 100 over 100K for one BTC. And the question is, can we see it go above that this next push up? I mean, it is a possibility, but as of now, like everything was, all the money was being transitioned into uh, gold and maybe even onto other assets. We'll probably see that money coming in pretty soon. But as of now, like the best thing that you've heard from all the educators is continue on DCA and continue on building that portfolio with Ethereum, Solana, and etc. So if I were to look back onto Ethereum, one of the key areas that myself and Gil and a lot of other people have been looking for Ethereum buys below 1400, either on portfolio, definitely a portfolio as well. When it comes to perpetuals, I definitely will tap into that here shortly. Is I definitely want to take some, swing perpetual buys if the fees and everything make sense. Like on my other trades on perpetuals, I definitely noticed that that the fees was eating up my profits. So a lot of it had to be really crucial timing and just overall had to make sense. So I'm definitely gonna be waiting on Bitcoin to come back up into this area before we can take some possible sells. Just waiting for the right opportunity. So I will be looking at it this week. Ethereum still going with the same flow of everything. Nothing too clear on trading perpetuals or leverage, whatever market you guys like to trade on. Just because I just don't like trading when Bitcoin is just or cryptos is just here. There's really nothing going on, to be honest. That I definitely want to find some more exciting plays, but as of now, I just um, I'm definitely gonna be avoiding these kind of structures on just cryptos overall. I haven't even taken any trades on leverage or perpetuals because of how just been flowing for these past several weeks. Everything has been moving the exact same way. And one of the charts that I've been heavily religiously looking at is the USD dominance chart. So if you guys are brand new, right, welcome. This chart is really useful to see where all the money is flowing into inside the crypto markets, whether investors are being risk on or risk off. Risk on meaning that they're converting their stablecoin USDT, right? Converting their USDT to crypto, then you start seeing this chart go down. If they want to be risk off, then they're converting their crypto into USDT. right? This is really where you see this chart go up in price and percentage. So once we really clear this liquidity here on the higher end, which if everything kind of just correlates together, then you will see a drop in alts, not alts, majors. So that's kind of like my signs that I definitely do want to see another pushback lower because of this correlation here with the USD dominance, and the rest of the market just looks that it just wants to continue on pushing lower, um, in my personal opinion. And let me see here, I definitely would tap into Chainlink. Let me see the chat box real quick. I'll see what you guys are saying. Okay, cool. So weekly, everything just looks like it still wants to continue going lower. Even with this current weekly candle, it doesn't really show as much strength to even be at these levels. I'm going to grab this brush. Even right here, this is like a weak open on the weekly candle. Very, very weak. So go back onto the daily, still building up a lot of liquidity um, on both ends. Let me see here, delete all this. One of the areas that my eyes just being gravitated towards is this area here for Chainlink. We still have this like this inefficient zone here for Chainlink, which kind of just correlate with the rest of the market. So as you start seeing me, really mark up and look at the rest of the alts, it's very very similar to the overall structure, the overall play across the board. We can definitely see like if for example if Bitcoin decides to drop lower, there can definitely be a possibility where Chainlink can not really get affected by it too much, just like other cryptos as well. This definitely applies to other cryptos as well, where if Bitcoin decides to drop lower, other coins will hold their area, their current price. So that's something that you will see a lot. Those coins that show that kind of strength and resilience as price of Bitcoin goes down, those are the ones that you should be really, really looking into. Those you can never go wrong in just stacking more on those particular assets. For example, AVAX. AVAX has actually been seeing some crazy lows just by all the current current partnership that it has with the banks and etc. in the overall finance and uh well the particular market, the real estate market as well, into real world assets. There we go. I'm really looking for AVAX to come back even lower. So I don't have anything pending. I'm just gonna just looking at price to see what Bitcoin wants to do. Either we come back into this area here, hold, accumulate at this area, or we just decide just to push lower and and create some new lows. But I am definitely be waiting for AVAX. This actually is one of my top priority coins to basically take on perpetuals. AVAX, Litecoin, and Chainlink as well. I'm tired of this grandpa. Me too. Me too, bro. Definitely, all of us just definitely want, the markets to just run a run as well. But if you really think about it, crypto is going to hurt the majority of the people as of now. It's always been designed to hurt the majority of the people. And I truly believe that is not done yet. Like, really think about like what happened during COVID. It was just really more so of a clearing the board when COVID happens. I'm not saying, we're gonna have that same event where we see a straight candle to the downside. Hopefully not, but I'm not against it. I'm not against it. Like I'm not attached to the overall outcome of the market. We just have to have money set aside, right? If we do go lower, that's why cash is king. Especially with all your favorite majors, for example, Ethereum, Chainlink. Chainlink is not really a major, but you guys kind of get the gist of comes to like altcoins. They have a lot of use case. So this is really where a lot of you guys are seeing your portfolio and maybe wondering, is this coin good to be investing long term? So I definitely over the past year and a half definitely changed up my tactic on which coins to even get into and just focus on just strictly those. Yes, things can change, but everything is just based upon use case and longevity. Because you guys will definitely see a lot of coins die off these next several years. So that's why even right now, like I'm looking at some of these coins, whether we're going, lower than basically seeing new lows than ever before. Going to clear this out. Filecoin making new lows. What's another good example? Pyth making new lows. So now it's just being able to see what coins is good to even like partake into it. That's what like when I'm seeing coins like this take new lows, I'm not even touching it until we see some volume getting back into it. If I see like clear confirmation that we do see some heavy volume coming back into some of these alts, then that's when I will consider on getting into it. As of now, I'm just stacking up on the main ones that I've talked about already. Because you can never go wrong with Ethereum if you want to be more on a conservative side. And let's say you want to go more riskier, then like the main market that has been doing pretty well, even with the market has been taking. You have your favorite meme coins, right? That is going to be for another call when it comes to meme coins. But as of now, I just want to be more conservative for all my new people here. So, you have your Solana, your Caspa. Some of these coins I haven't even looked at the chart in a while. I just been many just been focused on what's been holding strong during these kind of conditions. Parcel, a lot of these coins have some amazing use cases to back it up, but I'm only focused on the ones that have been holding strong. And of course, I do have some couple degenerate plays, but it just matters just getting in and getting out, and just focus on percentage gains, right? So I definitely want to be able to look into more of these other markets. Total three. So with the entire altcoin markets, before I pass this off to Geo. So you guys remember where I've been mentioning how I just want to see coin like basically all the majors to continue going down lower. This kind of gives me that other confirmation, total three, which is the entire crypto market cap, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you're not already looking at these charts religiously, then you should be. Because all the confirmations that I've been telling you guys on what's been currently projecting on, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, this kind of just confirm that as well. That's why I look at multiple charts, different markets within crypto, whether it's alts, majors, it all is lining up towards another push down lower to continue on clearing out some liquidity that we're seeing on the higher time frames. Where else can I go? I'm definitely am eyeing for BTC to uh, continue on clearing out the rest of the board of whether it's investors and the overall narrative. Even right now, like we've been seeing how Michael Saylor has been, of course, buying more Bitcoin, and I know he's down in his portfolio. So what if, what if? they're trying to, liquidate his positions, and then that definitely will shock the whole crypto community. But will that happen? I don't know. Maybe he'll probably get some assistance somewhere else on his positions. That could definitely be a idea out there. Not too far fetched, but what is the current big ball players that are inside of this space? Like we have all these other hedge funds stacking up, and they're in drawdown as well. So just really think about that right now. Like who is gonna be hurt the most if we're to continue on going down lower. So I definitely will pass it over to the boy Gio, and I'll let him take over, the overall foreign exchange side of the market. But if you guys have any questions else, then type inside the chat box, and we'll definitely will answer them on the cost. So without further ado, I definitely will pass over to the boy Gio. I definitely will grant him. Let's see, requesting. There you go. Cool.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much, Tony. Shout out to Tony, guys. I don't think a lot of us come to a realization of what we have in front of us. Tony is someone that has personally I've seen really study his face off when it comes to the crypto markets, guys. And one thing is studying, and the second thing is having results. And if there's anyone that I've been able to go on this journey to learn by, and really, really just watch grow. He's crazy. I've been knowing this guy since high school, sadly. Um, but it's immaculate, to see people like Tony, people like Junior, people that you grew up with, being able to not just break this down, but see the real life results. So I really hope y'all got some knowledge. First and foremost, let's go check out the chat. What is good, Carlos? Teresa. What's up, Joe Trades? The boy moving Wicks. What's good, bro? And then I'm tired of this, Grandpa. Jason, calm down. So first and foremost, let's check out what we got going on this week. Obviously, this week led with very important things. Just like Tony was saying, the Iran deal, all that stuff. It looks like it's getting cleared up. There's a peace treaty. It looks is looking good, right? But as of news, Monday, CAD news. We have CAD news CPI tomorrow. We won't have any news on Tuesday besides CPI on Asian session. Wednesday, we have employment and unemployment rates for Australian, and then USD will have news on Thursday, and it looks like Friday is going to be pretty dry. So, my recommendation, right, if I was you, right, this is what I would do. I would see how Monday plays out, right, and I would trade probably today, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Doesn't really make sense to wait trade on Friday, just because there's not going to be much volatility, nothing very important. For the USD, it looks like Thursday, Wednesday is going to be the setup. Wednesday setting up for Thursday, and this Thursday might be setting up something for the next week, right? And I say that just because I want to forsake y'all and give y'all a perspective on the way I think and the way I observe the markets. First and foremost, you know, I was looking at gold. Actually, to start with the DXY, right? The DXY is finally gaining um, some value, right? After a long time of just consolidating, we just broke up bullish. Right now, as we go to the smaller time frames, what we can see, it does have some huge imbalances that we still need to fill. So I can see us retracing back, just for on Thursday for us to continue going higher. So as of right now, if I'm looking at the DXY, right, very, very simple, right? Y'all have seen me trade multiple times. If you were here on Tuesday, right, we caught over 300 pips on live stream here on YouTube. And as we can see, we have consolidation. We have our break of structure, liquidity sweep. Then market creates new high, higher low, higher high, right? So I love trading the 7 8 8 6. Literally, it's very simple the way I trade, right? We found our imbalance, right? Now what we do is we break it down within the smaller time frames to be able to identify where our entry is at, right? And my entry is very simple compared to a lot of people, right? My entry is, the fill of the imbalance, right? Or there's no wick towards this candle. If we look at this candle directly right here, you see how this candle didn't leave a wick back down. That is a POI, a point of interest for me. When it hits this area, I'm looking for a rejection. I'm looking for a smaller time frame structure shift, right? If we were going bearish, I'm looking for the structure to shift, right? Meaning it to create from creating lower lows to lower highs to create a new high, right? So as we're looking at this market, right, we can see very impulsive. This market pushed up. So for me, if we were to look for a position on DXY and see when we are getting in, a second, 222. That is going to be my spot. So it's going to be a hefty area, right? So my spot is going to be within the zone, right? The 7886 zone and right here. And you might be looking at it like, oh, it's huge, Geo. This is a huge zone. You need to break it down. And obviously, everyone has their own perspective, and I can only tell you what works for me, right? And what works for me is keeping it simple, right? I've seen a lot of people overcomplicate trading, get into trading, lose a lot of money, let their greed, let their emotions get in their way. And what I've understood is just keeping it very simple, right? And sincerely, just to show y'all what I kind of want to see. I think it's this one, right? What I want to see is this market break it, break down, and we will enter off this movement. Let me change this a bit, right? I want to see the market consolidate. I want to see a break of structure, a high created, higher low, higher high, retest, and then we continue going higher. So I am currently bearish monetarily for these next couple of days for DXY. I would want to see DXY work its way down, then see it work its way up, right? So now let me ask y'all, if the DXY is going up, right? What does that mean for gold, right? If the dollar is losing value, that means gold is going up. If the dollar is gaining value, that means gold's going down. So if I were to look at the market and see a potential where gold can go, automatically I find this consolidation, right? We have a breaker structure. This breaker structure, right, liquidates these buyers. I mean these sellers, right? And the reason why I say liquidate, why I break this down is because I want you to understand what's going on, right? People are selling right here, people are selling right here, right? And people are selling right here. What the market intentionally does, it pushes just right above them, right, to liquidate, take out any break evens, any positions, to make people overthink about their position. Now it's in drawdown. It literally liquidates these guys out, and then you see a huge institutional candle pushing downwards. What that institutional candle is the banks putting money into the market, right? As we can see, if we wanted to use this scenario, right, we had this consolidation, break a structure, change of direction, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? If we wanted to use the fib just on this fib, we would have had a rejection that's easily a 1 or 2. But since the trade is a new trade and we want to see something different on silver, right? We will simply grab our, pretty much Fibonacci from the high to the low, right? We are gonna mark the 886, right? Boom, let's mark this 886. And we are now gonna break it down, right? And I'm gonna show y'all exactly what I'm kind of looking for when it comes to finding entries into this market, right? And it's very simple. I just showed y'all it's just a candle that does not have a wick to fill previous candles. Um, right? And here it is. And the reason why I'm picking this one, because maybe a couple of y'all have a couple questions. Well, why this one specifically, right? As we can see, market try to push up, right? We created a low, lower high, lower low, right? What this tells me, this was the last position before the market, obviously we had a rejection trying to go up, but where the market shifts on us, right? So hypothetically, let's say this market went down, right? Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, and we just created new lows. This is what I want to show y'all and help y'all understand is when we created this new low, this is the zone now that we are trading out of, right? And now what I want y'all to realize, these are all buyers right here, right? And the reason that this area is my main point is because look at the shift within the market and look at the time of what was going on, right? We had a time of going on where there's a bunch of potential buyers, right? This shift right here was the new creation of the new low, right? So if we are just breaking it down, and we're looking at areas that can possibly hit, right? My two zones, first one, right? Since this is our previous, right, lower high and our new lower low, I am gonna play within this zone. I'm not gonna leave within the zone. I'm not gonna do anything with this zone. This is my zone that I am focused on, right? Now, meaning my stop loss, right, is gonna be above here. Now, is there a potential that this market can go higher just a bit more and go fill in my second area? Absolutely. And the reason why that's possible is because we just have a huge imbalance, right? Consolidation, break of structure, change of direction. But for me, right, I am okay with taking two trades. Give me a second. I'm okay with taking two trades, right? My first setup's gonna be here at the 68.69, stop loss at 69.88842, and my second entry is gonna be at the 70.685, 71529. Meaning the cool thing is since the dollar is gonna hopefully lose value this week, that means it's gonna build value to silver. Now, what do we want to keep aware of, right? What we want to be aware of when we are coming into this market is we want to be cautious of what the DXY is doing, right? So we can then make a pretty much a scenario on what to do when it comes to silver. Now, if DXY is sitting up here in this zone right here, and silver is sitting right here in this zone, I am not personally going to take this trade, right? Because DXY still has, pretty much area where it can continue going lower. So for me, what would make reasonable sense is once I see the market shift in the smaller time frames, when it gets to my zone, 1 minute, 5 minutes, creates new highs, then I will go look at silver and then look at where my setups are at for the week, right? This setup might not hit for a couple of days. I am okay with that, right? Same thing with this trade that we had last week, right? Last Tuesday, we called out gold, right? I intentionally said when it came to gold is what we wanted to see is this is smaller time frames. We'll move this fib real quick, right? What we wanted to see on last Tuesday, right? Tuesday morning, New York, we were in this area. I told y'all we are not going to enter sales in gold until we see a break of structure below. And what the cool thing is if we just zoom in a bit more, right, into smaller and smaller time frames, we are going to be able to see if we were able to find our entry, right? So we zoom in right here. And what do I see? Automatically, right away, right? Yeah, imbalance. I actually thought I saw a candle that wasn't filled, but I'm wrong, right? Market then came, pushed up, so for me right now for gold, I wanted to see that closure. We saw that closure. It gave us that retracement back, right? So if we're looking at the structure, right, this was our lower low, lower high. lower low. So for me, in this specific setup, I am okay with waiting for this to come back over here, right? This doesn't give me enough data and enough pretty much of my setup. My setup is pretty easy. Consolidation, break a structure, lower low, lower high, lower low. We wait for retracement back to the 78886. That's how easy the way I trade is, right? And a lot of people trade differently, right? And a lot of people trade the same, but they use different terminologies. Like I mentioned, guys, what worked for me might not be what works for you, right? But what I understood is trading is a game of probabilities. If trading is a game of probabilities, you have to first and foremost understand that you're not always going to win. And when you come to the understanding that you won't win every single trade, at what becomes important at that point isn't making money, but it's following your setup, it's following your rules, it's perfecting your craft and not chasing the money, but chasing the skill set. And that's very important when it comes to this game. And it's all psychology at the end of the day. Now, Oyo is approaching my personal buy area. The reason that we are looking for buys is number one, we had a closure brief on top of our previous high or lower high, right? Lower high, lower low. Market then shifted. This is our new lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Became bullish, right? Right now is liquidity, right? This is a trade. Again, I am gonna take, guys. I am gonna take this trade once we get in the zone. All I'm gonna look for again is a 1 minute shift of direction or 5 minute shift of direction, which I am okay with waiting because that is a part of my setup. So, guys, Oyo is a perfect trade. This is probably the only trade that we will be calling out today. We will be buying Oyo at 74381. This is a bigger risk, right? You are able to wait on a lower entry, right? Entry number one is going to be 7481 right? Entry one. If you want to be more conservative, right? Which I like being more conservative, right? You're gonna go with entry two, right? Entry two is gonna be my setup, right? And I'm gonna go for the highs, right? So if this trade goes our way, right? Again, entry one is gonna be 7-4. Entry two is gonna be 73,377, right? What do you want to do if you enter entry one? If you enter entry one, what you are looking for, right, is very simple. We're waiting for this market to come down, right? We want to see it consolidate for a bit, right? Within the zone, have a break of structure, create a new high, higher low, higher high, then come back and we buy in this zone to continue going higher. That is the only way I will get in entry one. I want to see that within the smaller time frames, 1 minute, 5 minute. That is what I'm looking for. If that doesn't happen and the market is just falling, because you want to be aware, you just don't want to enter a trade because Geo said buy oil at this price. You want to wait on your mitigation, on your confirmation checklist. Let me go check out the group chat. Happy Sunday, happy Father's Day. Hey man, I'm not a dad, but yes, happy Father's Days to all the dads. I like sales. Cool. Sorry, I have a we got a wow, that's crazy. Sorry, I just lost money. You do not bet. I hanged out with Junior this weekend and Tony, and literally the whole weekend, all they were doing was betting, and they got
Facts.
me, guys. So this is a setup, right? We entered NAS bias last week. We got completely demolished. It's okay, it happens. Looking at the market right now, I see why, right? Obviously we had this consolidation, but check this candle out, guys. You see this 4 hour, 1 hour candle? It has no wick in it. It's not a coincidence. That's exactly where the market rejected. And that's what I've been able to do when it comes to back testing. Shout out to Neri. If you're not hopping on Neri's back sessions on Saturday, you are missing out, right? So what we see here is market, right? Consolidation, break of structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? And then we came back. Right? Ideally, this would be my zone, this candle, or our 78886, right? Which is just a little below, right? The reason why, right? The reason why that I would rather wait, right? Obviously, you see that. If we go to the smaller time frames, right? We still have a possibility of getting in this trade. And you might be asking, well, how is that possible, Gio? Right? We have our consolidation, our breaker structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? Now we have liquidity here within the zone. Now, if we go and zoom in just a bit more on NASDAQ and find exactly where, and I found exactly where, right here, this candle right here, right, has not filled in here, right? As well, we see an order block within the zone. So for me, on NASDAQ 100, we are looking for potential buys, right? Stop loss. And the reason why this is just much more beneficial, you see how long we've held it. We had our consolidation, breaker structure. We didn't hold it here for a couple minutes. We hold here ever since Thursday. It's already Sunday. We gave a lot of boom. So stop loss right here, right? Red. And we are buying here in this zone. So this is going to be my NAS 100 buy setup. And you might ask yourself, well, why are you wanting to enter this buy setup? Let me just go back and put that back there. Very simple, right? The reason why I'm looking for a buy setup is very simple, right? We came to this zone. We rejected perfectly here out of this zone that we had. This trade below is invalidated. It came to our zone and it rejected, right? But what it did after, it broke previous lower high, created new highs, and it's been holding this area. Right now, we have a bunch of liquidity, right? Holding down this area. What we want to see the market do, since it hasn't showed us our simple setup that we always look for, which is consolidation, break a structure, change a character, then the trade has not happened. And the trade didn't happen, not in the 5 minute, not in the 1 minute. And we found our candle that has not been filled in, our candle that hasn't been filled by a wick. So for me, this brings a high tense confirmation that NAS 100 is going to lower its way down and we're going to see buys. Now, US 30, right? If you got into US 30 on Tuesday with me, right? Congratulations, right? We hit smash TP2. This was a 1 of 7 risk reward. We entered this market very simple. Same thing, right? You're going to look at this and it's going to change your life, right? Because as soon as I saw it, it changed my life, right? Very simple, right? We go to the smaller time frames. As we break this down piece by piece, right here, right? What I want you to realize on the 1 minute, this candle, the reason why we entered this setup is because this candle did not have a wick, right? Very simple, right? We had our consolidation, breaker structure, institutional candles, right? As we look into the bigger time frames, what I personally saw at first was this consolidation, breaker structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, right? Meaning that was a pretty much good zone that I was looking at. As I broke it down to the 1 minute, I saw that zone. We came back within New York session, caught this knife, consolidated for a bit, and smashed TP. Now, once it smashed TP, we saw how it took a brutal turn to the left, right? Demolished stop loss, right? There's no reason why you should have been in that trade anymore. Now, as we continue, this market did continue bearish, right? Market did continue bearish, right? I would want to see a little bit opposite of what NASDAQ is showing because these two have not been moving anywhere near alike. And the reason why we entered NAS 100 on Tuesday is because of US 30, right? And what it was doing, right? Same setup, right? They're just not moving the same anymore, right? NAS 100's looking bullish now. US 30 is looking bearish. We just created new lows on US 30, right? If you look at lower low, lower high, lower low, right? You simply grab this consolidation, break a structure, change your direction, right? And you just simply throw your fib from the low to the high, I mean, high to the low. You see that we came here within our 7,886 zone, right? That's what you do within the zones. What do I predict on US 30 personally, right? I want to see it come down. I see this consolidation, right? We see this break of structure, higher high, higher low, higher high. I see US 30 falling, right? I see US 30 falling very, very fast, right? Now, when we go in depth and find our potential entry, we're going to break it down piece by piece. Boom. I don't see anything as of right now. So 5 minute. And I promise you it's going to be here somewhere. Um, consolidation, break the structure, liquidity swept, bull market then pushes up. So we grab this fib, right? Again, we want to look at where the last movement could have gone down and it went up instead. So this is going to be our area of interest. And we are going to look for buys here for US 30. Now you might be asking, well, Gio, what if I want to potentially maybe work our way down and look for potential sales? And that is completely okay. We can look for those too. As we can see right here, consolidation, break of structure. Why I wouldn't get into this buy, which a lot of people would look at it and be like, well, Gio, here's your consolidation, here's your break of structure, here's your higher high, higher low, and higher high. But what we didn't do in the bigger time frames, which a lot of people will never tend to understand or comprehend, is we didn't break new highs. We are still below this zone. So it's very important that we understand that this market is still bearish. We have no signal and no reason why we could believe that this market is bullish. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for my setup. I don't see anything now for US 30. I really would. I do see a couple of zones where maybe like here, if we do come to the zone, I will reconsider, right? And possibly look for a potential sell, right? But as of right now, I'm not gonna jump into this. This is just a maybe, a small 40 pip risk. But I do see US 30 tanking. And last but not least, SPX 500, same thing, right? We can see that this market is just bearish, right? Phenomenally bearish, right? If we go to our setup on Tuesday, right, we can see, right, we can see market came perfectly to our zone, had a rejection, gave us a 1 to 1.75, and it was a great setup. So that being said, guys, just to give y'all a quick overview before we end today's session, first and foremost, we are looking for potential buys on US oil, entry 1, entry 2, silver, right? Silver, we are going to look for potential sells. What we are going to wait for when it comes to silver, right, is the DXY. Same thing with gold. If we are looking for two potential setups, I want these two setups to somewhat, my bad, somewhat, reflect off each other, meaning that they're moving the same way. One's not continually pushing up and the other one's pushing down, right? NAS 100, right? We have our setup for the week, right? We are looking for buys. I did mention VIX to y'all last time. As y'all can see, VIX is just the fear within the SPX. We had a huge monumental push up when the markets tanked. But if the markets are going to continue to tank and we have this own consolidation, break of structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, because, in reality, guys, there's no way that the market could be manipulated, right? There's no way, right? But these type of setups will prove to you how manipulated these markets are, how rigged, right? Are you jumping into these games, and how the institutions are making so much money? And that is what you need to get in. You have to become a institutional trader, right? There's a lot of traders. You have retail traders, right? And you have institutional traders. There's not anything wrong with being a retail trader, right? And to say to fact that every strategy can make you money, right? But what you want to figure out is what's gonna make you excuse me, right? What's gonna make you income consistently, right? Meaning, having your tracking data. Yo, my trading is a 60%, or my trading is 40%, or my trading is 50%, right? And the end of the day, guys, I don't have to trade every single day, right? This is a game of probabilities. This isn't a game to see who makes the most money. This is a game of who stays in the game the longest, right? Because the way you get eliminated from this game is by losing money, right? And once you lose that money or capital that you were willing to invest, right, you're not willing to reinvest into yourself. And a lot of people are where they get out of the industry when they lose your money. So in order, I really want you to, hopefully this doesn't go over your head, but in order to win in trading, to be a successful trader, you must be able to stay in the game longer than everyone else. And to be able to stay in the game longer than everyone else, meaning you have to have a trading plan and a good risk management plan, right? Those are the two most important things. And obviously a trading journal, being able to track your journey, your documentation. Because if you don't, guys, I'm gonna just be real. That's where most people tend to fail and quit. So that's some gems for y'all, right? The only way to win in trading is by staying in the game. And to stay in the game, you have to have, right, great risk management, right? So that being said, I'm gonna open this up for any questions, right? I don't see partners call out Geo. Perfect. Yeah. I see it. So appreciate you guys. I appreciate every single one of y'all. If y'all have any questions for me, shoot me a text in the Discord. Shoot me a Instagram DM at Live with Giovanni on Instagram. Or if you have any questions for Tony, it's at Denny Leno. But anything last you want to say, Tony, before we end this call?
Nope. That is it on my end. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Gio, for sharing that knowledge with us. But yeah, I mean that's basically it for myself and tonight's call. And I hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful day. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So, without further ado, I hope you guys have a blessed, wonderful night. And I'll see you guys next time. Let's get it.